iSpace Out was one of the most hyped up, anticipated episodes of iCarly ever to premiere. Like many other kids, I thought it would be insane to see Carly, Sam, and Freddie go up into space. I mean, that's pretty dope. What other sitcom sends its characters to outer space for a random episode? And even though it's been 15 years, I still remember seeing all the ads for this one on Nickelodeon.
iCarly, you have a mission.
How would you guys like to do the first web show from space?
You want us to do iCarly from space?
Everyone was so excited to see the iCarly gang go to space that over 5 million people turned in to watch this episode when it first premiered back in 2010. But there's just one problem. They never go to space in the episode.
This March, iCarly boldly goes where no web show has gone before.
She's literally in a spacesuit floating through space. It straight up just doesn't happen. All 5 million of us learned a hard lesson that day. And frankly, I'm still not over it. Despite being promoted as a special episode, this one has only a normal 22-minute runtime. And they don't go to space, and yet the Nickelodeon producers had the balls to actually release this one as its own DVD with Carly clearly in space as the cover. And to make matters even worse, if the promos weren't bad enough already for making false promises about space travel, they also spoil the literal ending of the episode for no reason. Awesome. Yeah, because my favorite thing besides being lied to is having the ending of something ruined before I even watch it. So buckle up, because today we're taking a look back at this falsely advertised episode that Nickelodeon somehow had the audacity to release. And if you like this video, please be sure to give us a like and maybe consider subscribing. And as always, if you have any other episodes or shows you want me to cover, let me know down in the comments. All right, let's dive in. The iCarly webcast starts off with Carly and Sam destroying a laptop, wasting hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. What is the budget of the iCarly web show? And there is no continuity with the stupid buckets they use. I'm pretty sure at one point the entire water spill just disappears altogether. Then a kid from their high school named Cameron is brought out, and I always wonder when people come out from that little side of the room, is that person just standing slightly out of view, just waiting to run in the entire time? Cameron's pants are actually covered in Christmas lights and light up a bunch of different colors. Then a random viewer is brought on live stream to virtually dance with all of them. And yeah, I remember what the internet was like 15 years ago. And let's just say, they're lucky that the random viewer didn't join with his cock and balls hanging loose, playing with his worm. The next random viewer is a boy who instantly calls his father over as soon as he realizes he's gotten on the live stream. His father turns out to be a billionaire with a company called Spacecations, where people can pay a bunch of money to go into space. The billionaire then invites Carly, Sam, and Freddie to come to the Spacecations headquarters and broadcast an iCarly web show from space to help promote his business. And wait a second, you're telling me he didn't go out of his way to contact Carly, Sam, and Freddie about this massive opportunity? He just so happened to be one of the random viewers brought on live out of the probably thousands of viewers in the queue? Yeah, okay. A simple email would have worked. Also, where the fuck did he get a slide whistle from? Later downstairs, Spencer is drinking a blend of oyster juice and tomato juice.
Worst drink ever. It's a blend of tomato juice and oyster juice.
You hate tomatoes and oysters.
I know.
I'm gagging. Then we get a rare mention of Carly's dad when he calls Spencer on the phone. Carly promises her dad that she won't go into outer space without his permission, which fair enough, I guess. And she explains that this weekend they'll just be doing testing for the space trip and that they will not actually be going into space just yet. And then Spencer says something insane to end the phone call.
Yeah, law school's going great. Later, Dad.
This is absolutely wild of Spencer. It's a crazy lie, and we gotta acknowledge that we are already in season 3, and law school only takes 3 years. Also, fun fact, Spencer actually in character wrote a blog article on iCarly.com after this episode premiered with fake Photoshop pictures of him graduating law school that he claimed he was gonna send to his dad. I just thought that was kind of funny. So the kids take off for the space training weekend where they'll be evaluated to see how well they can handle space travel. And turns out they're actually competing against other kids from another web show called Exercise Rocks. And only one web show gets to go up into space. That was never mentioned as part of the deal.
And to promote my company and show the public that space travel is safe, how would you guys like to do the first live web show from space?
They were asked to come to Spacecations to broadcast a web show from space, not to compete for the right to broadcast a web show from space. I'd be livid. Back at home, Spencer kicks back and goes to watch Girly Cow Season 4 uncensored on DVD. And Dirty Dan Schneider is actually the voice of all the fake characters in this Girly Cow cartoon. Suddenly, a random child comes up the elevator and stares at Spencer. And I gotta point out that Washington is, in fact, a stand-your-ground state. So legally speaking, Spencer does have every right to react to this intruder as he sees fit. The child runs up the stairs and Spencer chases her around, and then we cut back to space training camp where the kids have to sit in a chair meant to simulate the G-force of traveling into space. And I kinda love that everyone is absolutely screaming their heads off while Sam is just having a grand old time. And yeah, they achieve this effect by just blowing giant powerful fans at the cast, which couldn't have been that fun. Next, the kids go on a crazy ride that spins them around all upside down and shit. And honestly, it looks like goddamn fun. I would try it. Back at the apartment, Spencer calls Lubert, the doorman, for help and says that he doesn't recognize this little girl who entered his apartment. She then pops up again, and he chases her into the hallway, then back into the apartment again, while she giggles the entire time.
What's happening?
Back at the Space Training Center, the kids have to spend 36 hours in a confined space together to prove they can handle it and get along the whole time. And Sam and Freddy start fighting within goddamn seconds. And wow, wouldn't it be oh so ironic and clever and unpredictable if Carly ends up being the one to ruin everything? Nobody would see that coming. Freddy explains they're being tested for space madness and basically claustrophobia.
It's space madness. Dun, dun, dun! It's happened to some astronauts. When you're stuck in a pod like this and you can't get out, some people just lose it and go nuts.
Hearing the word nuts makes Sam want some nuts, so Freddy hands her a bag of powdered nuts, which she slaps him with. I don't want to say it, but it probably ain't the first time Freddy Benson's got taken a few nuts to the face, you know what I'm saying? Up top, Freddy and Sam start fighting again, and Carly reminds them that everyone has to get along or they won't be allowed to go to space. Back with Spencer, he explains to a cop that a strange little girl has broken into his apartment and he wants her arrested and charged with burglary. But the little girl is gone all of a sudden, so the officer loses interest and bounces. And as soon as he's gone, the little girl reappears on the couch drinking a juice box. Spencer chases down the cop and physically pulls him back into the apartment. And yeah, you'd get arrested for that one. Tased at the least, shot dead in the hallway at the most, depending on the cop's mood.
Hey! Officer! I have to go. I found her! Please!
R.I.P. Spencer if this was real life. As soon as Spencer gets the cop back into the apartment, the girl is gone again.
I don't understand.
I do.
What do you think's going on?
You're a loon.
Spencer actually ends up taking the cop's words to heart and calls Sako immediately to ask for his uncle-in-law's number, who happens to be a psychiatrist. And back in not space, the kids decide to run through a rehearsal episode of iCarly to test it out. And when they start filming, they accidentally set off the automatic bed button, knocking both Carly and Sam over, and then it just retracts by itself instantaneously. It's just back in the wall at the next scene.
And this is... Hit the bed button. I didn't hit it.
And this fucking pisses me off because 60 seconds earlier, we're shown that they have to press the button twice. They have to press it to expand the bed and to put the bed back. But right here, they just get hit in the fucking domes with it and it just appears back in the wall. I'm pissed.
Here, maybe this is for more light. Oh! Cool, our beds automatically slide out of the wall. Yeah.
It's not that hard to have continuity. So they try to keep the show going and do some random dancing in the fake space pod, but there's not enough room and they keep knocking into stuff. Also, why does the space simulator have a random button that gasses them out? And if Carly and Sam can't even do random dancing in the space pods, what the hell are the exercise rocks people gonna do? I don't think there's enough room to exercise if you can't even do random dancing. Back with Spencer, the psychiatrist tells him that he's imagining the little girl because he misses Carly while she's gone. She's been gone for 1 day, by the way, 24 hours. Spencer buys it instantly, and honestly, I can't help but feel like this is a great example of how psychiatrists can easily gaslight the shit out of their patients and kind of make them believe anything. As soon as he leaves, Spencer sees the little girl again.
See, this is okay. Because I know you're just my imagination. So I'm just gonna open the fridge.
And things keep going wrong with the iCarly kids back at the Spacecation's headquarters. Sam somehow manages to sneak an entire fucking brisket into the space pod and starts chomping it like a rabid animal during the night. And Freddy freaks out because he just wants a bite of that brisket. Carly tells them they need to stop fighting and says they need to stay calm and take this seriously because it would be an amazing opportunity for iCarly to actually go to space. Gee, I wonder what's gonna happen. So the kids try to go back to bed, and yeah, Carly loses her shit and crashes out. She starts to tear the room apart and then smashes and jumps through the window to make her escape. So apparently Carly, the one who kept telling the others to be cool and take this seriously, ends up being the one to ruin it, which is kind of odd because she doesn't really freak out like this in the later episode I, Psycho when she's trapped in an even smaller room. However, she does freak out in the episode I, Sam's Mom when she's stuck in a small space with them. So I guess she's claustrophobic when it's convenient for the plot? Okay, whatever. And yeah, nobody goes to goddamn space. That's it. Done. They're booted from the contest, and it cuts right back to Carly arriving home and telling Spencer they are not going to space. And quite frankly, I'm goddamn pissed. Carly gets some juice from the fridge and runs into the little girl who is still there. Has she been fed? Where is her family? What is the lore here?
Who are you? Space madness.
And honestly, this episode pisses me off for so many reasons. It's not a special, it didn't deserve its own DVD or any of the promos that hyped it up to be some amazing event. It's a normal length episode where nothing that interesting happens and they don't go to goddamn space. And I get it, it would have been a little unrealistic, sure, and maybe the special effects would have looked like shit, but I would have looked past all that because it still would have been lit to see Carly, Sam, and Freddy travel into space like we were promised. The B plot with Spencer and the random little girl breaking and entering into their apartment, yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's not enough to redeem the main plot of this episode being a big fat nothing burger served with a side of sizzling disappointment. iCarly is a good enough show in its own right. They didn't have to lie to all of us children and give us these false promises in their promos to get us to watch. I would have tuned in anyway, even without them making promises they couldn't deliver on. So why do it? And for what it's worth, if we set aside the promos for a moment and just focus on the episode itself, the part where the group gets locked inside the space pod kind of started to feel like a Drake and Josh Stuck episode, like Helicopter or Treehouse. But even though I like iCarly, these characters do not pull it off nearly as well as Drake and Josh do. Most of the humor just involves Sam and Freddie fighting, which, I don't know, it kind of gets old after a while. In fact, I spaced out during some of these scenes because, quite frankly, it got a little repetitive. But enough of me yapping. What do you guys think of I Space Out? Did this episode piss you off as a kid because they never make it to space like we were promised? Or did you still enjoy it? Let me know down in the comments and let's kick it. And as always, a huge, massive, what can I even say anymore? Just a giant shout out to the channel members and Patreon members. I would stick my tongue down the ear of every one of you if I could, but you'll have to just settle for a haiku instead. Nudes in the inbox. Forbidden flesh burns my eyes. Grandma, please log off. Thank you guys so much, and if you're still watching, okay, all right, I see you. I think in about the next 10 days, you will encounter an oddly colored balloon. Let that balloon be your guide. All right, thanks for listening.